What's up, everybody? We got this Volkswagen Beetle back in here. It is a 2002 or 2001, sorry, 2001. 2001 Volkswagen Beetle. Last video I just did on the same car was the transmission fluid. So we were able to get it shifting good. The transmission has been performing great. And yeah, so it came back after doing the transmission service on it, and we're ready to move on to the next repair, which is the air conditioning. This is the receiver dryer inside there, so it bolts from the top gas and the bottom liquid coming out. Got the compressor out. This compressor had been replaced already, and you can see compressors, when the junkyard sells you them, they mark them. So this one has the marks from the junkyard already. That's your number on it. You got your lines up top. Main thing you want to look at is the way it mounts up. 2 bolts, well, one long bolt. So 2 and 2, and that kind of holds it. And then you got your lines on that side. You do have to remove the intake manifold on this, guys. Yes, it's not something I was looking forward to removing. As you can see, we got some more junkyard parts. But nothing wrong with junkyard parts. They save you some money and they're working. But have to remove the alternator. Have to remove the intake manifold. Now I went underneath and I tried to remove just the power steering pump from there and have access to it that way. And as you can see, I got the power steering pump zip tied out of the way over here. But the problem with being able to remove that AC compressor from the bottom is the AC compressor sits right up in here above, in the middle. Most cars have it on the bottom, and you have your alternator up top, and then you'll have usually your power steering either in the middle or somewhere else, and your compressor in the bottom. Would have been easier on these 1.8 Beetles if they put the compressor on the bottom, but the way they did these, they put it on the top. So if I had the radiator out for whatever reason, the complete radiator and fan out, I could have probably had enough room to take it out through the bottom. Would have still been a tad uncomfortable, but I would have been able to. In order to, this bracket right here, the way it's built, it gets in the way of you being able to drop that compressor out from the bottom. In between here, you don't have enough room to get it out. So you can access this bolt and this bolt from the bottom to remove the whole bracket if you wanted to do that. But the bracket has more bolts that I'm going to show you from the top. Before I go back up there, let me show you the bottom of that receiver dryer. This is the liquid line coming out. So you remove that. All right, so I'm gonna move this thermostat hose out of the way, and you can see the bracket, the way it bends down, and then there's the bolt I was pointing at. Well, it has other bolts hidden in there and here, here, and here. It has more bolts to get that bracket out. So even removing the top 2, you're not doing nothing. You don't have enough room to remove it, to drop the compressor out from here. Don't even try it. I did. I'm trying to save you the time by watching the video. The compressor has to come out from the top. I'm one of these guys that I'll see a YouTube video before I do a job, and I'll see some guys saying, oh, do it this way, and then I always look for a better, simpler way. I like working smarter, not harder. And if there was an easier way, I tried. I wouldn't have disconnected the power steering pump. It'd still be there. And I would have left that there and just went straight from the top. And on the next one I do, that's what I'll do. But because I'm stubborn, on this one I was like, well, maybe I can get it out. Let's remove this power steering pump, and maybe I don't have to take the alternator and everything and the intake manifold out. And I could just fish that thing out from the bottom. But no. You cannot, on these 1.8 Volkswagen Beetles, you cannot take it out from the bottom. You have to go from the top, leave the bottom alone, have to go from the top. Now what you do from the bottom is disconnect the compressor lines on the back of the compressor, which come in from this direction. But the power steering pump could have stayed in place while I did that. So then I'm at the point where if I'm removing everything from the top, that means there isn't enough room with the intake manifold installed to get it out from the top. So yes, the intake manifold is required to come out. Yes, the alternator is required to come out. So now that we got all that out, I'm staring here looking at this thermostat. And I've said it many times in videos before, y'all. We live in the Sunshine State. I don't call it the Sunshine State because it's cold. It's hot as balls. Up north, the salt used to kill the cars when I lived up north. And now that I'm living down south here, it's always heat. Metal to metal creates friction. Friction creates heat. So already plenty of heat, and humidity in Florida is horrible. And the heat will kill these engines. So we got a hose here that I'm looking at that I would love to replace, just because it's a pretty important hose. It goes from the water pipe and it comes up this way, runs through here, and goes to the bottom of the puke tank, coolant tank. So that hose will come this way. It's a special hose, special routing. It would be nice to replace it, but now that we're already here, not have to remove the intake later. But we're on a limited budget. This hose doesn't feel soggy or mushy, so we're gonna leave it alone. Then you have your oil filter housing and another coolant bypass here, which is fine. But while I was in here, I'm one of those that I like to poke around an engine, especially while I take stuff apart. Let me see how I can show you this and get my hand out of the way. This harness is kind of blocking your view. There you go, look at that. You see that hose right there that I'm touching, that one? Look at the kink in it right there. I'm talking about, that's one hell of a kink. See that kink right there? I don't know how the hell coolant pressure is flowing through there adequately, because that's one hell of a kink. So we'll be addressing that. We will be fixing that kink. I will take that hose off. I will find out what it goes to. I will remove it. And we will get a hose that's not kinked in there. That has to be affecting the pressure in the cooling system. We have our flanges for the coolant hoses here. You see the different clamps on them? Now, Volkswagen loves to use these clamps. So those clamps are what you would see if it was original. Everywhere you see these type of clamps, which I happen to like better, so I'm glad they replaced them, that means somebody's already been in here. So somebody's been in here, replaced these elbows and these clamps, and they put that hose down in there with that kink, not paying attention to that. So that's getting corrected no matter what. We have the intake gasket here. We're going to take that off, inspect that. At this point, I'm ready to replace the receiver dryer. You want to replace the receiver dryer now before you put the compressor in. So I'll put that in. I'll put the compressor in that goes in the middle. I'll connect the lines. I'll do that. But actually, first, I want to put this thermostat back in. And I want to show y'all why I took that thermostat out. I'll be 1 second, Brian. So You see these little holes that I drilled in this compressor? Like I said, we're in the sunshine state. Crap gets hot. Some of these thermostats will come with a little bleeder hole in it. And I did this to Brian's truck over there we just worked on. He just got himself a sweet deal on a Silverado. And some of these thermostats will come with a hole through them, little bleeder hole, and some won't. The ones that don't, I always like to put one in it. If we lived up north, I wouldn't feel it so necessary because it's so cold up there. It would actually benefit it not to have one. But in Florida, you want to have one. So I take the drill bit, 1/4 inch, 1/8, whatever you want to use on a regular drill, and I poke a few holes in this thing. So even when the thermostat is completely closed, something will always pass through. So the engine never really runs at full pressure. A lot of people you'll see, they'll take these thermostats and they'll snip, and take the guts right out of the middle and leave everything straight flow. You want some back pressure. You want to be able to build up pressure in there. You don't want to cut it completely out. But relieving 1 or 2 holes in there makes a difference. If this was like an American car, a Japanese car, I would have just drilled 1 hole. But these German cars, as you can see, if this camera will focus, made in Germany, 1.8 German cars run hotter. And then this is a 1.8 turbo crammed in a really tight engine bay that gets super hot. So when you're talking about an engine that's already designed to run hot, hotter than most engines, and then they cram it in this small little engine bay and they cram a turbo in the back of there, this thing runs pretty hot. I've watched the temperatures on this thing. I've drove this car around a couple days. I know what temperature the fan turns on and off, and the fans were kind of being a little iffy there. This cooling system has an auxiliary water pump, an electric assist water pump in it. Because of how intricate all the routing and the hoses is, they got some real sharp bends in all the hoses. You got a lot of different plumbing, coolant plumbing that's involved in this system. Heater hoses, everything has real sharp angles and everything. So that normal water pump can't keep the pressure, can't keep everything flowing. So they put these electric assist water pumps in them. When you put a kink in the system with a hose like that, it really changes things up. And when you have a thermostat that is permanently closed with no bleeder hole through it, it makes it even worse. So I put the 2 bleeder holes in the thermostat. I'm gonna fix the kink. I'm gonna put all that back together. We got our new receiver dryer here. We got our reman compressor. People will go and spend money on a brand new compressor. I'm against it. I'm a big believer in getting a reman one. It's reman mean remanufactured, rebuilt. We're gonna do all new O-rings. We will do the expansion valve. We will do the expansion valve on it, and your receiver dryer. Again, like I said, hole up top, liquid line on bottom. Manipulating a liquid from a liquid to a gas state. So anyways, we got all our new components here. We are going to flush the system. We are going to obviously evacuate the system, and then we're going to recharge the system and get it blowing cold. But I just wanted to make a quick video for anybody thinking about doing this so they know what they're getting themselves involved to. This is not a step-by-step how to do it. I don't believe in doing that, because if you need me to give you a step-by-step on how to do this, you probably should have no business doing this job anyways. This is not an entry-level technician job. This is a technician A, technician B, a very experienced technician B job, not a technician C job. Like if you're a C-level tech, you have no business touching this. A C-level tech means you're handy with wrenches, but you're not certified and you've really never worked in a customer service environment turning wrenches for flat rate. You're a C-level tech. Maybe you've worked hourly changing oil at Pep Boys, and your uncle and you work on stuff on the weekend and you think you're pretty handy because you've pulled the motor out before, you're still a C-level tech. You're not certified. You have no business doing a job like this. This is not kind of job I would recommend a C-level tech does. A B-level tech is someone that has at least a few years experience and is ASE certified, maybe not master certified, but ASE certified, and has worked in a customer service environment on a corporate level for flat rate pumping, 100 hours flat rate in a 40-hour work week consistently and successfully. An A-level technician is a master tech that's been doing this for 10 years plus. So this is definitely a A-level tech job, easy. A B-level tech can handle this job. A C-level tech has no business doing this job. And the average YouTuber should not try to tackle this job on their own. This is not something the average YouTuber wants to do in their own driveway. Again, there's a little more involved to removing that intake than the average person is probably capable of. There's a lot of plastic, a lot of hoses, things break. You have to know what you're doing to take on a job like this. Anyways, don't want to yap too much. This is just a video to show you what is required to replace a compressor on a 1.8 Volkswagen Beetle, receiver, dryer, expansion valve, etc. Which this is for a B-level technician, an A-level technician that's considering taking on this job and hasn't done one on this particular car before and is saying, what do I got to do on one of those? Do I got to take it out from the bottom, from the top, yada yada? That's the purpose of this video. I'm gonna get with Brian here. We got something we got to do. Thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good night.